When it comes to karma, it's not only members of the human race that are affected. It can happen in the animal kingdom too. How many times have you heard the growling and barking of a dog only to find it's a tiny little dog capable of nibbling on your ankle? Imagine if it came face to face with a bigger dog. My bet is it wouldn't be quite so tough then, would it? Here are 15 times animals messed with the wrong opponent. Number 15. Chimps versus raccoon. Normally, in zoos, animals are either kept only with their own species, or at least with ones that they get on with. But here, a local raccoon has managed to sneak into the chimp enclosure and got more than it bargained for. It probably went there to look for food, but the chimps didn't take kindly to finding a thief in their territory, so decided to teach it a lesson. It's hiding in a bush, but the chimps move in to pull it out and show it who's in charge. They chase after it, but with 6 chimps and 1 raccoon, there's surely only one way this is gonna end. The raccoon is hit and sent flying, but amazingly, it's still alive. It makes a run for a pipe to escape, but one of the chimps grabs it by the tail and pulls it back before another moves in to deliver punches to its body. The raccoon did eventually manage to escape, probably feeling very sore after the experience, and it'll definitely think twice about entering this place again in search of food. Before we go on, we have a cool challenge for y'all. It'll take about 5 seconds to complete. Let's make a deal. Just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you will get 10 years of amazing luck and fortune. Try it, it actually works. Now it's time for the star topic. I'm not sure these two guys would be likely to meet up that often, and if they did, it's doubtful the tiger would have the upper hand. Either this alligator is sick, tired, or already dead, or the striped guy is one tough dude and it's payback time for a previous encounter. He looks hungry too, because he's certainly not messing around. Perhaps he has a family that needs to be fed, or he's worried that another predator will pounce on his giant catch. This tiger isn't leaving anything to chance. He means business. Let's hope it turns out to be worth it. His catch looks a little tough to me. I've never eaten alligator though. What about you? Is it worth risking your life for? Comment down below with the hashtag star topic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 14. Angry cats versus dog. Always the tough guy, dogs seem to think they'll have the upper hand when it comes to a one-on-one with a cat. But 9 times out of 10, they're wrong. In this clip, the interaction between the cat and the dog is nothing short of hilarious. The cat is clearly not interested in chatting, and you can tell by that noise it's making. Unfazed, our hapless canine friend presses on, only to discover that this tough Tom means business. The cat hisses and swipes at him, and the poor guy runs off whimpering loudly while the vicious feline chases him. Let's hope for his sake he got away. Those claws can be nasty. Number 13. Hippo learns lesson from rhinos. Typically found wading in water, the dirtier the better, a hippo can be seen playing amongst a small group of rhino in the dark of night. The group seems to be minding their own business when the hippo sets his sight on one of them, starting to chase it around as if wanting to play a game of tag. The rhino isn't having it, and with a nip to its buttocks from the hippo, starts to gallop away. If he thought the game would end there, he was wrong, as the hippo chases after him. Both animals are heavy set, built to withstand a bit of a scrap with the other or an animal of similar build, but the rhino has had enough and turns to face the hippo. The hippo immediately opens his mouth wide as if to appear bigger and tougher. In fact, it's almost like a mating ritual between the pair. Clearly sick of being harassed, the rhino butts him with his horn on the behind, sending him scampering off into the distance. Quite funny, really, considering he started it all. In fact, those who filmed it can be heard chuckling to themselves as the hippo disappears. Number 12. Hippo versus Elephant. An elephant is filmed waiting in a watering hole, a hole infested with hippos. They're everywhere, pretty much surrounding the poor bloke. Most appear to be simply enjoying their daily bath with not a care in the world. In fact, it's probably a ritual they carry out several times a day. I mean, it's not like there's much else to do, surely. One cheeky fellow, obviously a little bored with life and wanting to create some action or entertainment for the others, decides it might be fun to tease the elephant by dragging on its tail. Perhaps he thinks he's funny and the elephant will get the joke. But this time, he's picked the wrong elephant. Firstly, the elephant begins to whack him in the face with his swinging tail, but when that doesn't work, things get a little heated. With his patience obviously wearing thin, the elephant kicks the hippo, and this time he gets the hint and swims away. For a big guy, he was pretty docile, really. The hippo should be grateful. It could have been a lot worse. Number 11. Zebra kicks blue wildebeest lights out. This poor wildebeest got a raw deal when a zebra planted a well-placed hoof on his head. A group of zebras and wildebeests are gathered together around a small watering hole. Most are just quietly nibbling at the ground below, when all hell breaks loose, literally. A juvenile wildebeest is kicked in the head by a zebra. The animal immediately drops to the ground in pain, and the rest of the pack scatter to avoid any further confrontation. They all slowly make their way back, however, with some looking to help the prone wildebeest that is clearly stunned. Can't even make it back to its feet. That was either one tough or one very bad-tempered zebra. I wonder if the whole pack had a history of rivalry, as when watching the video you got the feeling there is some tension between the two groups, and this incident wouldn't have helped matters at all. We can only hope the poor wildebeest was able to come to his senses by nightfall. Number 9. Gorilla sucker punches another unruly gorilla. This footage was taken at the San Diego Zoo back in 2012, and it's gone viral across social media platforms around the globe. A group of gorillas are sitting inside their glass enclosure when one of them, looking for something to do and keen to play up to the gathering audience, wanders over to a younger member. He picks the smaller gorilla up, throwing him up in the air and rolling him over. It looks to be all in fun, but another gorilla takes offense to the game. Whether they got the wrong idea and thought the other gorilla was being a bit rough, I'm unsure. But he was quick to break up the party with a swift punch to his roommate's chops. The crowd laughs, and our gorilla pal appears slightly embarrassed, and so too does his young friend, who looks like a sulky, sullen child sitting in the corner. Not content with having his pride hurt in front of spectators, the larger gorilla wanders past his young friend again, only to be whacked again by the obvious king of the castle. Who does this guy think he is? No one likes a party pooper. Number 8. Rhinos give sleeping lions a wake-up call. It comes as a bit of a surprise that the king of the jungle would be afraid of any other animal, let alone a slow-moving rhino, but hey, life is full of surprises, isn't it? Two lions are sound asleep in their natural habitat, surrounded by trees, with birds whistling, completely at peace, and no doubt dreaming about their last meal. Unbeknownst to the pair, two rhino attempt to creep silently through the bush toward them. Whether the rhino know they're there, we're not sure, but it certainly comes as a surprise to the lions. Because of their size, the rhino can hardly sneak up on the lions, with branches snapping all over the show. Woken from their slumber, the lions are quick to make a hasty getaway as the larger of the two rhino runs at them puffing, no doubt from the extra energy required. With the lions long gone, the two rhino can get on with their day, chilling out with not a care in the world, probably laughing at the poor lion's expense. They must be pretty proud of themselves. Imagine the talk at their annual Rhino Catch-Up. I wouldn't mind being a fly on the wall in that conversation. Number 7. Electric fence versus goat. Now, if you've ever had an unexpected encounter with an electric fence, you'll know that it is an experience you never want to repeat. As you're attempting to jump over what appears to be an innocent-looking wire fence, dividing paddocks and keeping animals separated, you quickly discover that it's actually an evil torture device in disguise. Trust me, if you've never fallen foul of an electric fence, don't even bother experimenting. It's something you will never forget. The same can no doubt be said for this poor goat. Wandering the paddock one day, perhaps enjoying the sunshine and having a wee nibble on the grass, he comes across an opponent he won't soon forget. No, it wasn't another goat, but an electric fence with a 5,000-volt kick. His horns won't help him here. In fact, they might even make matters worse if he tries to take the fence on again. Just imagine getting hooked up in this thing. My first instinct is to feel sorry for this poor fella, but the overwhelming urge to laugh just unfortunately takes over. It's too good. Once bitten, twice shy, he takes off at breakneck speed, yelling at his paddock mates to stay away from the fence. I don't know what was funnier, the encounter with the fence or him scampering off, knocking everything over in his haste. Number 6. Goats. This Mexican standoff between two goats makes for an interesting scrap. The larger of the two is quite clearly intimidated by the smaller, which is slightly unusual. Perhaps they've met on the farmyard playground before. Both have good-sized horns on them, and whilst another paddock pal ignores them and quietly grooms himself, the pair go into battle. The smaller goat attacks, the larger retaliates, but at the same time backs away. Is he a little unsure of the situation and hoping to put some distance between them, or is he just giving himself some run-up room? I think the latter is true. At one point, they both back so far away from each other that when they meet up, the big guy goes flying in the air, landing on his back. Clearly unfazed by the laughter in the background or the humiliation being dished out, he continues with the clash, virtually tackling the little guy to the ground. Nothing can keep this villain down though, and he quickly gets back up to have another go. You have to give him top marks for confidence, at least. There's a pause in the proceedings where the opponents catch their breath, and then it's all on again. How long this went on, we're unsure, but the other goats in the paddock were only concerned about how much extra food they could consume while the battle raged on. Number 5. Crazy goat annoying the dog. This laid-back canine can't be bothered with the annoying kid harassing him, and you can't blame him, really. The kid's not the human kind, but a little black goat that's obviously bored and wants to stir up some trouble. He shows the dog a few of his tricks, standing up on his hind legs and attempting to headbutt him. He then takes his fury at being ignored out on the wooden shed behind him, before trying again and again to antagonize the lazy mutt looking for some peace. The dog barks at him several times, but he doesn't seem to get the hint, trying his best to get him to engage in a game. No amount of antics will work, however, as man's best friend has obviously had a hard day and just needs to chill out. For all we know, it could have been an incredibly hot day, and this old guy just doesn't have the energy of the young buck, so who can blame him for getting a little annoyed? The crowing rooster saves the day, and the little black goat sets off in search of another playmate. Good riddance. Number 4. Angry Ram. Rams have a reputation for being mean. Not only do they look it, but they have a tendency to be aggressive as well. So you can imagine the rage of a ram who had a close encounter with a boxing bag and lost. Well, as the saying goes, if at first you don't succeed, try again. This ram took that saying literally and got in the ring with the bag to settle the score. The bouncing bag proved quite the opponent for the angry ram, who became increasingly agitated at its constant jabs at both his pride and his body. Obviously, he has no idea the bag isn't a living rival, so a fight ensues, or at least that's what the ram believes is happening. Little does he know that it's a one-sided affair, and the poor boxing bag doesn't have a home. It's actually quite funny to watch as the ram furiously headbutts the bright red bag until it's knocked off its perch. Now satisfied, the ram walks off with his head held high, quite proud of his efforts. Number 3. Gen 2 Penguin. Penguins are such cute little creatures as they waddle along in their unique way. It's hard to imagine them being anything but pleasant. But rumor has it, they can be quite vicious little fellas. And this video provides further proof to the warning it's probably best to keep your distance. They live in large colonies with hundreds upon thousands of the birds interacting and watching out for each other. Fiercely protective of their young, father penguins prove quite the opponent when it comes to ensuring their little one's safety. And if you don't believe me, how about asking the giant male petrel in this footage? He'd beg to differ. When he came across the colony, thoughts of a hearty meal and perhaps an easy target filled his head to such a point he momentarily forgot his intended prey had a safety-conscious dad ready and waiting to pounce. No match for the angry penguin, the petrel has to retreat after suffering a brutal flipper slap. Seems he deserved it too, don't you think? Number 2. In the wild. In the wild, it's normally every animal for himself. When hungry, you can become prey to all manner of other species, and it's easy to understand why. Some animals go days without a proper meal, so when the opportunity arises, it pays not to be picky. As they say, beggars can't be choosers. In this footage, we see what appears to be a lion and lioness together in the dusty desert. Perhaps they're on the lookout for a little something to kill and take back to their hideout to feed their young. Or maybe they've been chosen to seek out a meal for the rest of their pride. Whatever the case, the pair encounter what sounds like a wild boar. Its squeal can be heard above all else as it tries to fend its killers off. This guy isn't going down without a fight, that's for sure. Next thing you know, the lioness is flung completely in the air, probably helped by the boar's large tusks. The pair are shocked by this turn of events and quickly run away. The boar, having won the battle, has lived to enjoy another day. He happily trots off in another direction. Number 1. When you mess with the beast. Another wild boar makes an appearance, but this time he's on the other end of trouble. To be honest, it's actually an unfair match, and the aggression shown towards him is quite uncalled for. The poor wee guy's done nothing to provoke this vicious assault. Whether the large rhino thinks he's gonna eat more than his fair share of dinner, we're not sure, but he removes him from the situation in one swift motion. His victim is lifted in the air before somersaulting and landing on his back in the dirt. Let's hope he doesn't have an ego problem, because his mates will be teasing him about this one for years. Embarrassing. I'm sure it comes as no surprise that competition is rife in the animal kingdom. I mean, if you're hungry, anything is fair game. You can't blame them, really. Imagine having to chase, catch, and kill a meal to ensure you're fed each day. Fortunately for us, a simple shopping trip will suffice. No need to fight to the death for us, thank goodness. Figure it out, lions. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.